Hello. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Can you write in the
Yes,
comments, please?
hello.
Okay, Kai. It's cool. So, sorry, we are a bit late, mainly because we have some logistic problems. So, what is happening? That right now in How Goes Air, we only have a limit of 10 people. So, what we are going to do, I'm going to put in the post in the MC page, the YouTube link when the other people also can follow the training. Okay. Maybe you have some members or someone from your network that are asking for that, you can share with them the link that I'm going to share also here with you. That is here in the comments, okay? So with this, I think that we can start. So I'm going to give the voice to Kalin for Loopaa. He's going to be the one that's going to give us all this training regarding market research and customer interviews. Okay, so Kalin.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Can you also see me?
yes,
Okay. So, as Oscar said, we were going to talk about market research. As I understood, it's an issue for you because it's important that you want to know what are the needs of your consumers, let's call it like that. What are the needs of your students and of your stakeholders, and you want to know how to do a good market research to find out the things that can help you drive some good campaigns and to really have a bigger impact, right? This is what I've heard about your needs. I will do a screen share so you can also see my presentation while I'm talking. Let me see. Okay. And I will going to put a PowerPoint. Can you see the PowerPoint? Can everybody see it?
yes.
Okay. Don't be shy, talk. It's okay. I don't know if I'm going to put it full screen. I want to hear if you see it right now. Do you see it like this? Can you see it full screen, or you're not seeing the PowerPoint anymore?
We can see
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to hear. So we are going to talk about market research and to find out where are you standing and who is your consumer, who you are talking with. So first of all, I want to know your needs and expectations. Before getting into training, I already prepared some stuff for you guys, but I want to know, why do you need the market research? What are your most common problems that you are facing right now in your LCs that you need a market research for them to know how to adapt this presentation to your problems? So please share any ideas about why you need this market research. Okay, any ideas? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, then share some ideas, guys. You're going to need a market research. Why do you think you need the market research, and how you're going to be using it? Okay. So,
Okay, if no one going to say, I can say from my side. I think that is very important because, for example, when I was creating or when I was thinking, okay, how we are going to offer with my customer, with my EPs or my training, it's also important to know what is the potential market that I have, for example, in my city. And it's how you can align, in this case, the ISEC products with their needs. And it's for the reason that for me it's important to have this type of knowledge before.
okay, to know what's the potential market. Okay, this is one research that you can do to find out how many people are in your city that you can reach to send them abroad. But it's not enough to know how many students there are, because many of them are not interested to go abroad. So you have to narrow down your target market to understand how big is your potential market from the whole market of the students. How many are those that are really interested in taking leadership opportunities or going abroad? So, okay, this can be one topic. Market research can also help you to know more about your consumer, more about the students that you want to send abroad, to really find out what are their problems, their fears, to know how to address those problems and fears. Because if you know who is your customer, then it will be much easier for you to communicate. You can start right now to go, let's say in Brasov, and tell all the people, hey, go abroad because it will be very risky and very exciting, and you're going to talk every day in English and only in foreign languages, and you will enjoy it a lot because it's very risky. But if you're not knowing that your consumer, let's say, is not it doesn't have such a big appetite for risk, like I know that students from first years of university, they are not that open to risk to go in another country because they find it risky to go in another country. So if you didn't know this information, you were going to tell all the students, hey, go take the risk, find the risk, etc. But that will be a communication problem, because nobody will going to sign up to your OGV, right? Or OGT, because they will know that it's going to be too risky for them and they don't want risk. But if you will know this information, that they are afraid of risk, then you're going to tell them, hey guys, it's safe to go abroad. ISEC will going to take care of you. You're going to make a lot of friends, that you're going to hang out together, and you will be all the time safe. You're only going to work in the safe medium, etc. And that will be a different type of communication that you're going to use, and many students from Brasov, let's say, will going to sign up to go abroad because you're going to talk on their needs, and you're going to address their fears. So that's why it's important to understand your consumer, because if you understand who is your consumer, you can talk on his expectations and on his needs. So marketing, it's about the market. It's about who you are addressing, who you are talking with. So it's really important to find out who is your consumer, how many people are in your target market, and only then start communicating with them and use the proper language and proper messages, so you can attract more people to sign up for your campaigns. So I think this is mainly the biggest and most important point in the market research, to talk on, to be on the same page with your consumer. Guys, if you have any questions anytime during this training, please stop me and just go ahead and ask your questions. I will try to make it as useful as possible and practical to help you guys to do market research in your own cities, to find out more about your target market, about your students, about your companies, and find out how you can help them and how you can talk on their language, on their interests. So anytime you have questions, please do so. Interrupt me, it will be no problem. Okay, so first thing that I want to tell you, I want to present you the buying process. Because if you understand the buying process or the choosing process, then you'll understand how people will going to get to choose your programs, to choose a volunteering experience, to choose learning a new language, to choose become trainings, to choose to come to a conference, to choose anything that you want to sell them, to say it like that. Even if they don't have to pay it, you're selling an idea or you're selling a project. So if you understand the buying process, it will be easier for you to know how to communicate, and where to interfere in this buying process, so you can convince as many people as possible to take a part of your projects. So let's do an example. Does any one of you have been in an exchange program?
Yes.
Okay. Can you help me out in an exercise?
Sure.
Okay. So please tell me, before going in exchange and before thinking of going in exchange, how did you find out about this program?
Oh, well, because I'm in ISEC, I already knew about this program, and yep, that's how I found out.
Okay. And what convinced you to go in exchange?
I think I would say my LCVP PM convinced me to go into an exchange by being an IXP.
Okay.
But I can tell you about why I chose global entrepreneurs and not global volunteer. It was because I wanted to work in a more entrepreneurial environment.
Okay. So before thinking to go in an OGE, right? You wanted to do entrepreneurship. You wanted to learn more about management and marketing, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when you find out about this opportunity, you said, hey, it's the right one for me. You also knew about volunteering experience, and you also knew about the talent programs, right? But you chose to go in entrepreneurship, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, and you only chose this because you find out and your PM convinced you to go abroad, right?
Yeah, like I wasn't planning on going abroad, but when I decided to go, I chose OGA over OGV.
Okay, and what changed your mind to go abroad?
Like, I don't know, I've never been abroad, and I was like curious on going out to see exactly how it like how it will be. And I don't know, because I didn't have so much to do in the summer, like that why what I was thinking.
Okay, so you had free time and you also wanted to explore a new country. What were the most important things for you in finding a new country or going in an OGE?
Well, first of all, I wanted something like in Europe, because I didn't plan it like I think I matched myself with the opportunity when I applied. It was already June or something like this, so it was a bit late. So I decided to go in Europe, and I chose Poland because I don't know, I found it like attractive from my
Okay.
perspective, and also because of the opportunity they had there.
Okay, so you started to research more opportunities, more countries, and then you chose Poland because it was already late, and you said, okay, it's a good country for me. But before thinking of a specific country or a specific opportunity, tell me what were the main reasons why you choose to go abroad? What you wanted to discover?
So what I wanted to, when I start looking for opportunities, I wanted them to be like to develop a certain type of skills. Like I study computer science, and I wanted a startup with this kind of background, and I started looking for this kind of opportunities.
Okay, so the most important thing for you was the professional development. But beside professional development, when you thought of going in an exchange, what were the other reasons why you chose to go in exchange and not start working in your home city?
Well, it was like exploring a new country and seeing exactly how. Let me think how to explain it. Like how different are the people from there, and also as me as Isaacr knows that um, know that there will be like other exchange participants there from all over the world, and yeah, you can interact with them. It's like a lot of multiculturalism there.
Okay.
So like yeah, that's it.
Okay, so besides professional part, you were interested about making new friends, especially international ones, and to meet new people from other countries, from Poland or whatever country it was. You were interested to meet new people and to find out how they live and how they talk and to challenge you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
also like knowing a different culture, different than the one we have here.
Mm-hmm. And why did you choose to go with Isaac and not go by yourself, just by yourself?
Well, because it would have been more difficult to find an opportunities for a or like for a startup in Poland, and I know that Isaac offers me kind of a support there. Uh, yeah, that's basically that. I gain a lot of support from Isaac part.
Okay, so it was very important for you because you had a database of opportunities, so it was much easier for you to find the opportunities, and you knew that Isaac was helping you during the process and also after you got there to accommodate yourself and to meet new people and etc. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then you enter the process. You pay the money. It was important for you when you paid the fee for going in exchange.
I paid it after I got accepted, so I think that's the. It was very okay from me because uh, yeah, I knew for sure that I paid for something that I will have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. And tell me, what fears did you had before going in exchange, or when you start thinking about, hey, I chose to do this. I'm afraid that these things will happen. What were your main fears? Even you had the courage to go and conquer your fears, let's say like that. But what were your main fears when you thought of going in exchange?
Mm, I I don't think I had a certain fear of something. Uh, yeah, it was much more like a curiosity from my part. I
Mhm.
cannot tell it was a fear.
Okay, but let's say what were your main concerns? Like how you were going to find a place to stay, or
Yeah,
how you were going to be paid. What were your main questions before going in exchange?
yeah, like I was wondering about the accommodation place that I will have. Uh, I was wondering if someone from Isaac will be there to pick me up on the airport and uh, go with me to my place of accommodation, and also going with me at my first day of work and stuff, this kind of stuff, like logistical stuff from Isaac's side, and to make sure I, at least in the first week, I get used to like the routine that I'll have to do for the rest of my exchange.
Mm-hmm. Did you had any concerns about your job, what you're going to do there, and how you're going to handle all your duties, etc.?
Yeah, I had also some curiosities because, at least from my perspective, my job description was a bit ambiguous. But I used ISEC from there to clarify, but before I went to the exchange. So yeah, that's another thing.
Okay. Did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much because, as I said, like it was somehow as I expected it, because yeah, I'm here from ISEC and I know how stuff works. Um, and I think if I didn't know about ISEC, it would have been like more surprisingly in a good way for me. But yeah, like I had the ISEC support from there. Anytime I had a problem, they did solve it. When I had a problem, I didn't usually communicate it with the job, the workplace I had. I communicated it with ISEC from there, and they did communicate with the startup and solve it. So yeah, it
And
was like,
you found it this very useful?
yeah, I found it very useful because they solved the problems. Like,
Okay. Would you recommend this experience to other people?
of course, I would recommend it.
Okay. And why would you recommend it?
Well, because I think it's much different to work in another country, especially in a startup environment, because I don't know, when you are a foreigner, people behave differently with you. Like they will pay more attention to you and stuff like this, and they will help. They will be more willing to help you. Yeah, and also you can learn a lot of stuff from other people. From as I said, I had people from Mexico. I had people from, I don't know, all over the Europe, like South America, and I don't know, Asia, and they're all different. So you can learn a lot from them also.
Okay. Have you thought of going again in another exchange?
Yeah, I was thinking going again, but maybe this time in a global volunteer experience, to try, like, to see the different product and how it is.
Okay, so thank you very much for this exercise. Congratulations for you, the whole experience that you had. I really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you a lot. Now I want to explain what we did in this interview. And also, guys, I encourage you to do the same thing with your returnees and with everybody that you want to send abroad, to take this kind of interview and go through these kind of questions, so you can find out what are the reasons people went in exchange, what were their main fears, what was their buying process, and after you understand all of this, you can draft them down and put this into communication. And right now I will going to show you the buying process and go through this process. As we talked in this conversation, I will going to put the whole experience in this buying process. So we have the pre-awareness, we have the awareness, we have the purchase intent trigger, we have the research and familiarity, we have the opinion and shortlist, consideration, purchase, and brand ambassador or saboteur. So what happens? In the pre-awareness, people usually don't know that they will going to need some experience, or that experience really exists. Like our colleague didn't know about exchange before ISEC, right? Then he found out about exchange and the exchange experience, but he didn't, so he was in the awareness phase, but he didn't still wanted to go in exchange until his PM convinced him to go abroad. So then he had the purchase intent trigger. The purchase intent trigger is the moment, it was the click that made him and convinced him to go abroad. So it was the summer that was coming and he didn't had anything planned for the summer. So maybe that was the purchase intent trigger. And also stuff that his colleague told him about why it's cool to go abroad. And also other reasons for him was the professional development and meeting new people. So all of this together were the purchase intent triggers for him. that made him to choose to go abroad and choose an entrepreneurship experience, not a volunteering, and not how is it called? The other one, OGT, right? So then he did the research and familiarity. So usually in this phase, research and familiarity, let's take one consumer that he's thinking to go abroad the next summer. He was going to have the next summer to go and to do something with his life, right? And he's thinking to go with work and travel, right? Or he has the opportunity to go with ISEC. And he's doing his research and familiarity. So he's going to talk with someone from ISEC, he's going to talk with someone from work and travel. And he's starting to be more familiar with why he or she should choose one of the two programs. And in this phase, it's very important that you know all the reasons why that people want to go abroad, and start answering the reasons why that person wants to go abroad, because that person has a list of things that she or he wants to accomplish, like have a good professional experience. This you can have in ISEC, but you cannot have in work and travel. To earn money, this you can have also in ISEC, but also in work and travel. Meet new people, you can have in both experiences. Meet more international people, this you can have only in ISEC. But it depends from one person to another what are the things that there are on their list, because for one person on the list can be #1 priority meeting international people, and for other person can be professional development, and for other people can be just traveling, right? Having the opportunity to travel, and for other person can be changing the world. I don't know what are on each person's list of priorities when that person is doing the research and familiarity. But if you're doing this market research, you're going to find out what are the main reasons and what are their main things on their list when they're searching to go abroad. So after you find out these reasons, you can put people in different categories, right? In different segments. You can have the people oriented for professional development, like we had our colleague. You can put people in the segment for traveling. You can put people in the socializing, and you can put people in changing the world. And you have 4 segments that you are going to want to talk in a different way with each segment. And you have to find out what are the similar characteristics of these similar segments of people, and start to talk on their language, and start to talk on their reasons to go abroad, and start to answering their questions better than your competition, let's say work and travel or other NGOs. So the person is doing the research and familiarity, and is going to enter the website, is going to ask friends, is going to talk with someone from ISEC, is going to look on Instagram, is going to read the blog, is going to get some newsletters. All of these channels are helping people to do their research and familiarity, to know more about your program and compare it to other programs. And after that, they are doing an opinion and shortlist. Let's say they are going with 3 NGOs that are offering exchange. Let's say they are choosing between an Erasmus experience, an exchange, and work and travel. And after they're doing the research and familiarity, they are saying, hey, Erasmus is not for me because I'm not looking into learning. I'm more into working experience and earning money. So I'm doing my short list and take out the learning, take out Erasmus, and leave only with work and travel and ISEC. And after they are doing this short list, they are still talking with people to convince themselves that they are going to do the right choice. And they will going to come and talk with you. And this is very important to know how they are building the short list, where they are going when they are building the short list, and to be available on all the channels for those people that want to ask you more questions, to be available on Facebook, to be available on Instagram, to be available on your website, to be available on your phone, to be available in your university, to be available in your dorm rooms, to be available wherever these students are present. You also have to be there just to be available for them when they want to choose a program over the other. So you will going to be everywhere, trying to talk with these guys, and then they will take into consideration just one program. Let's say they will going to choose ISEC because you, let's say in the case that we had, you are offering more help to the people that are going abroad. You are helping them to find new friends there. You are helping them before leaving. You also, someone takes you into consideration because they are only paying when they find the opportunity and they are signing the contract. And this is also something very important for them when taking into consideration the final offer. So they choose you, but you have to find out what are the reasons why they are choosing you and put those reasons in a list. And when people are doing the opinion and shortlist, to take those reasons out and send them to people. It's like, and after you convince the people, they are going to purchase, like they are going to pay you because they found out the opportunity and they are just going in exchange. And you have to make sure that after they are coming from exchange, like we had our colleague, they are becoming brand ambassadors, that they are going to recommend also to others. And they will going to think of going also in other opportunities like volunteering or, I don't know, learning a new language, or just inform them with other opportunities. So if we are taking this buying process, you can create like 2 or 3, 4 study cases on how to approach each different segment, like the professional-oriented people, the volunteering-oriented people, the traveling-oriented people, and changing the world-oriented people. And you can think of each one of the segment how you want to approach based on the information that you got from your interviews and based on the information you got from your research. And if you find out from the research that most of the people that went in exchange find out about these opportunities from Facebook advertising and from friends and from newsletters from other NGOs and from class shouts, then you should start doing more of this to get more people aware of your programs. After you get people aware of your programs, then you have to give them the reasons that they have on their short list when they're doing the research and familiarity to answer all of their questions. And after you answer all of their questions, you have to give them the opportunity to find the project that they are interested to go abroad and help them close the deal, right? So if you know this whole buying process, it will be much easier for you to do the market, the advertising, to do the promotions, to do the events, because one, you're going to know what are these people interested in, and second, you are going to know what is their buying process and where you can interfere in their buying process to make them aware and to convince them to purchase from you and not from other programs. And to convince them to buy from you and not from other programs, you have to really understand what other people are offering. So you also have to do a research on your competition and to find out why people choose them and not choose you, and find out why people choose you and not choose them, and use all your advantages that you find out from this research to implement those advantages in your communication programs. So this is mainly the buying process. You have to do the research to understand this buying process and to implement it in your communication. But also in this buying process, and I will need a little bit more the help of your colleague, we have some roles that other people are having in this buying process. So we have the initiator, we have the influencer, the decider, the buyer, and the actual user. And let's say we have the initiator. In this case, I believe your colleague was the initiator. He said that, or the project manager was the initiator. Who initiated the program? Can you help me with this, with an answer?
What convinced me to go, or
yeah. Who was the first that initiated this program? your colleague came to you and
Yeah,
said,
my colleague came to me, and because of her, I took into consideration in going.
okay, can you please tell me your name? It will be much easier for me.
Alexandru.
Okay, Alex, thank you a lot. So the initiator in this case was your project manager. So maybe you can, if you're thinking of the buying process, then it will be very important to find more of these project managers that are influencing people to go abroad. Maybe this is your solution. If you're going to do the market research and you're going to find out that in each case when someone went to exchange, in each case there was a project manager or there was another person that was the initiator, then you'll have to start doing in your marketing to do more like influencers campaigns. Find out more people that will going to influence others. Okay, so we have the initiator. Then we have the influencer. So in this case, we have the influencer was also the initiator, was the project manager, right, Alex? It was your colleague that influenced you to go abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have also other influencers? Were there other people that said, hey, it's very cool to go there, look what I've done? Did you talk also with other friends? Or did you talk with your family and were they agreeing with you going abroad?
From what I remember, I just told my family that I might go in an exchange, and they were like, "Okay, you can go." Um, but it was like after I got accepted. So
Okay.
I talked with some of my colleagues from my faculty, and they told me I showed them the opportunity, and they told me it's pretty cool, and it actually encouraged me more to go there.
Okay, were there other people from ISEC that encouraged you to go in exchange when you took the opportunity?
No, I just talked with the BPPM.
Okay. And the decider, it was you who decided to go abroad. In this case, I think it's very clear. You decided on the opportunity, you already closed the deal, and then you just went to your parents and told them, hey, I might go, so you might just pay for this. Did your parents paid for the exchange?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so they were the buyers, let's say like that. So they give you the money. And the actual user, it was you. You went in exchange, you had the experience, etc. So when you're thinking about these actors, you have to find out who are these people for your target market. After you find out the segments, let's say the professional-oriented person, right? You go to that person and you have to find out who can influence them, who can initiate them into this program, who will be the decider. In this case, we can see the decider is also the actual user, and who will be the buyer. And if the buyer will going to have problems with accepting the user to go in exchange, or if influencers have a good opinion about ISEC and about exchange when talking with other people. So you also have to influence all of the other people that take part of this buying process when you're trying to convince someone to take your opportunities. And we can think of opportunities not only exchange, but also, let's say, try program, right? Learning a new language. Initiator can be a colleague that already had the program and already subscribed in the project. An influencer can be a teacher, or maybe the parents who are going to say, hey, go take the foreign languages, it will help you a lot. The decider will be, let's say, the student, and the buyer maybe will be an aunt, or maybe will be from the money that they are taking from scholarship, right? So the buyer will be the actual user. So you have to find out who are also all the actors involved in the process, so you can also influence them. And you can find out who are the other actors by doing interviews and by doing questionnaires. So mainly I wanted you guys to understand this buying process and who are these actors, because if you understand this, it will be much easier for you to do the market research, and you can find many ways of doing market research to understand this process. So after you're going to do the interviews or the questionnaires, and you find out about the buying process, and you find out about these actors, it will be very important for you to draft a buyer persona. I don't know if you heard before about the buying persona, but this is like doing a sketch of an ideal consumer, doing the sketch of an ideal person that you are thinking it's the representative of your segment. Let's take here Alex. Alex, age 21, male, from Brasov. I'm just inventing this, Alex. Please take it as it is. So because a buying persona, it's something fictive. It's not reality. It's just something that you put on the paper to know who is your target market when you're thinking to start communicate to these people. So you're going to put a name on this person. You're going to put an age, sex, location. Let's say Alex, 21, male from Bucharest. His job role, he's still student, studies, he still studies in the second year of university. His relationship status, he's not in a relationship, and he doesn't have children. His interests are in IT, professional development, and meeting new people. Personal objectives and needs. He wants to become a very good professional, and his needs are for socializing and seeing new countries. Challenges, fears, and frustrations. Challenges is how to find the opportunities, the right opportunities, and how to know what is the best opportunity to choose, because Alex asks his colleagues, so this is a very important thing to know, that people will going to find out the opportunities, but they will going to ask also other persons to find out their opinions about those opportunities. That's why you have to convince the other people from other countries to put as many details as possible in their forms, right? In their job descriptions. So a challenge is how to find the really good opportunities. Fears are going like, what will be the accommodation? How I'm going to meet the people from the company? If I have a problem, who are going to take care of that problem? Do I need a visa or do I not? Do I don't need a visa? If I lose my luggage, what will going to happen? I don't know. Find out what are those fears and put them in this form of buying persona, and find out what are the frustrations. Maybe a frustration is that, let's say for Alex, he had a very long period to find out the right opportunity, and he just made the final decision in the last minutes, right? So maybe he was frustrated that he had a very long period to find out the right opportunity. You have to start to resolve these frustrations. Find out what are the frustrations and start to resolve them, and start communicating that you're taking care of them, so people they won't have any concerns that they will have these frustrations working with ISEC. And also you can find out the frustrations in working with work and travel and working with other programs. And you can say, hey, those frustrations, you won't find them in our program. It's like maybe they are frustrated that for work and travel, they have to pay it forward before finding a job and signing a contract. You can tell them, hey, in ISEC, it doesn't happen. First, you find opportunity, you sign the contract, and only after that, you're going to pay. So find out what are the frustrations of your buyer persona, also using other services, and try to resolve these frustrations in your communication and transmit them that you don't have them. The getting informed process. We saw the buying process. When you're doing the interviews and when you're doing the questionnaires, try to find out how these people are getting informed about going in exchange and about your opportunities. And not only about these opportunities. Maybe find out how people get informed about to which club to go, how they are finding information about what classes they have at universities. Find out how they get informed about the news. And if you find out all this information, how your students are getting informed, then go on those channels and start communicating on those channels about your opportunities. Maybe people, your students are finding out about cool places to go and learning opportunities from Instagram. I don't know. If they're from Instagram, then you should start promoting on Instagram. Do Instagram ads. Start promoting more the ISEC account on Instagram. or maybe they are getting informed on Facebook groups for students or for their faculty group classes. I don't know. If they are using those groups to getting informed, then you should also be there, starting to communicate about exchange and about your programs. And of course, draft what is the buying process for your segments. Let's say for the professional development persons, the buying process is that they find out about exchange, but they are not convinced until they are talking with someone that already been there and that is an authority, let's say a person that has experience with ISEC. And then drafting, searching for opportunities on the ISEC platform and being helped by someone, and then talking with parents, and then going in exchange with the help of ISEC. Draft all this buying process and put it in the buyer persona form. So you have to draft this kind of form for each type of your consumer. As I told you, you can have segments. You can have people interested in volunteering. You can have people interested in professional development, and you can have people interested in learning new languages, and you can have people interested in leadership opportunities. And each one of these segments, you can draft a buying persona for this segment and try to draft it as clearly and as that with more details as you can put there. So draft this buying persona, because after you know all this information about all the people, then it will be much easier to know where to communicate and how to communicate with them. If you have any questions until now.
I do have a question.
Please.
So we talked about from the outgoing perspective, but does this apply like for a company, for example, or it's a different process?
Yeah, very good question. Thank you. It's also applying to companies. You want to convince companies to take and exchange people, right? So you have to find out how they are taking volunteers, or if they are taking volunteers or interns, right? If they are taking interns in their company. If they are not taking interns, why they are not taking interns? They are not aware that they can take interns, or what are their main fears and concerns? You can draft this buyer persona in a company. Let's say, think of most of the times who is the decider, who is the person inside the company that takes the decision to take someone in their company, who has to say the first yes when accepting someone, when accepting a contract with ISEC. Maybe it's the HR director, maybe it's the CEO, maybe it's the sales director. I don't know who is the person, but find out who is that person, and then draft this buyer persona also for that person to find out what are their challenges, fears, frustrations when taking an intern. What are their personal objectives and their business objectives for taking these persons? What are their interests? What are their job, studies, relationship status, if they have a family or whatever? How they are getting informed about getting interns in their companies? What is the buying process when taking interns in their companies? Maybe they don't have a process yet. If they don't have a process, then you can tell them your process and find out all of this information about the right person in the company and use it to convince them to work with you. But you have to do these interviews and these questionnaires also with companies. Talk with the companies that you're already working with and try to find out all of these ideas, to find out from them and draft this buyer persona also from them. Maybe you have for startups, is the CEO. Maybe for medium companies, is the HR director. Create different buyer personas depending on the type of companies that you're targeting, and find out all of this information so you can know how to start to communicate more relevant and more easy with them to convince them. And also take into consideration that in a company, different from OGV perspective, there are more people that are initiators, influencers, buyers, or actual users. Because let's say initiator can be an assistant from HR that is saying, hey, we can save some costs if you're going to take an international intern that will going to do a market research for us. And an influencer in the company can be the HR director and say, hey, this is a very good idea. I support you in this idea, but you have to go to the CEO because he's the decider. And then the decider is the CEO, and the buyer is the financial director that will going to say, hey, but how much does it cost us, you know, but that person is going to come and we have to buy also a laptop, etc., etc., etc. So the buyer is the financial director, and the actual user maybe is the marketing director in the company. And you have to give them reasons to all of these people to accept your proposal, to accept your offer. So when you're thinking about doing the sales process, you have to think about all these roles in the buying process and how you're going to influence and how you're going to answer all of their questions in the sales process, and try to find out what are their questions before starting to promote and before doing sales. Try to find out what are the questions for all these buyer personas at each level, right? Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Okay. So I will going to show you another buyer persona framework that you can use. This is, as you can see, V2, so it's the version 2 of the buyer persona. It's a little bit more organized. So again, you have to put the name of the person, the sex, location, job position, role, and social status. Then the background. Let's say we have Alina, HR specialist in an IT company from Cluj. She's 27. She's from Cluj. She has the job position HR specialist, and her social status. She's not married. She's young right now, and she's not in a relationship. She doesn't have kids, and she's still there. So that's her social status. I said she's 27, female, from Cluj. Then the background. She has background in HR. She studied business administration, and she has experience 1 or 2 years experience in HR in other companies, and she did volunteering. Company information. Her company, it's a big IT company with more than 1,000 people that are employing 10 or 20 people, 20 interns per year in their company. What is her role in the buying process? She's the initiator in the buying process. Then you can say, you can go further and draft what are her pain points, what are her goals, what are her fears, concerns, and objectives. And let's say like this, her pain points is that it's very hard to find good interns. So you can help her to find better suited interns by getting access to your database. Her actual trigger for searching and choosing your solution is to it's, you know, that they are doing, you find out from doing your market research, you find out that her trigger is that usually in spring, starting from in month March, they are doing internships. So her trigger is that in February, she's already started to thinking about how to get the interns in March. So her trigger is the deadline. She has a deadline in March to start getting interns. So you know what is her trigger. You just have to put a little bit of salt on the wound, right? To convince her to choose you. So you know what is her trigger. You just have to put a little bit of salt on the wound, right? Are there any questions? So then you have to find out what are her goals. And if you're doing the interviews and you find out that the HR specialist has the goal to get a better position in the company, and by helping her to get the best interns, you can help her getting a better position in her company, then you're going to help her complete her goal. Criteria for choosing ISEC. Now you have to find out from your interviews why these influencers are choosing ISEC to promote ISEC in their companies, and put all of these criteria here, and why they are not choosing to find interns from other sources, or if they are choosing other sources, why they are choosing ISEC then instead of other sources. So here you should put all of those criteria. Fears and concerns. Maybe she's afraid that after she's getting interns, international interns, those interns are not really professional, they're lazy, or etc. So if you're finding out about these fears, then you have to answer those fears in the way of you communicating. And ways of getting informed about intern opportunities, you find out what are all the ways of her to get informed about finding new interns. Maybe she's looking on LinkedIn. Maybe she's putting announcements on best jobs or e-jobs. Maybe she's doing things in university. I don't know how she's getting informed about interns, but you have to find out in your market research and then draft all of this in your buyer persona. So you're going to have a buyer persona for this initiator, then you can do another buyer persona for the decider, you can do another buyer persona for the buyer in the company, and you can have different companies from, let's say, from IT companies, you have this buyer persona. But for startups, you have other buyer personas. So talk with your sales team to start creating these buyer personas and use these buyer personas when you're drafting your offers, when you're going to sales meetings, when you're drafting your communication materials, etc. All your marketing materials should be based on these buyer personas that you're going to build with this version of the buyer persona. And the last thing on buyer persona, after you find out all of these informations from your market research about the buyer persona, then you can draft your elevator pitch. If you're going to have to explain in just 1 minute to Alina, that's 27 years old, an HR specialist in an IT company, why she should choose an intern from ISEC and not from any other source, you have to convince her in 1 minute. What will be your elevator pitch? And draft it down. And then think of the Christina, the HR director in a startup. How you're going to convince her to choose an intern from your exchange. So think of these elevator pitches for each buyer persona, because when you're going to meet them, you have to be very clear in your mind what will be your message. Then, if you're knowing the ways of getting informed from your market research, then you can think of how you can draft all your marketing materials and all your marketing communication channels. And then think of the approach and content ideas based on the life cycle of the persona and based on the buying process. Think of the awareness phase. What do you want to do in the awareness phase, taking into consideration that this person, let's say Alina, she's getting informed from eJobs, Best Jobs, LinkedIn, Facebook, and class meetings with students. What can you do on this channel so that buyer persona, that Alina, will be aware that you have very strong interns that you can offer? Think of those channels and draft down in the awareness phase what you can do. Then think of her way to take into consideration ISEC instead of other options. Drop down here all the actions that you want to do in this consideration phase. And then think of the decision and the purchase phase. Who are the actors that are doing the decision, and try to drop down here all the actions that you want to do in the decision and purchase. So this is the main framework for the buyer persona. I want to show you right now an example of a commercial, and I want to find out from you guys to tell me what is the buyer persona that we are seeing that this ad is communicating to. Okay, I want to hear from you guys to tell me who do you think is the buyer persona this advertising is targeting. So first, let's look at the ad, and then I'm waiting for your feedback. Okay, so who do you think this ad is targeting? Who is the buyer persona? Any ideas? I don't know if we have a lag or nobody wants to talk. So I'm going to leave you another 10 seconds. Who is this ad targeting?
Okay, I can say for
Okay.
me or how it connects, like I don't know, people that wanted to live challenge because like I don't know, the person was going for different situations, but at the end of the situation, they finish with the future. So it's like I don't know, people that like to take challenge in their lives or I don't know or something like that. Was the idea that I get from the video, and also that they was also focusing the sneakers in the
Yeah.
shoes. So it's
And
like also how I don't know Adidas help you to go to your future or something like that.
what is the age of those persons? Are there more women or there are more men?
I think that they are more man and over 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. And what is their way of living? What do you understand from
Yeah.
this ad? What is their way of living?
The way you're what? Sorry.
What is their way of living? How they are like as a person?
No, I think that people like to enjoy their life because they wanted to have fun, wanted to go to different places, like to share with their friends. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what I can see, I couldn't see, I could see.
Yes, we can also see that they are like people that they are doing things on their own and they are more strong. They don't care about the trends like the selfies. So they are more like leaders, and they have their own group of people that are moving forward. Right? They don't care about what other thinks about them. They are more like non-conformists. So you can tell all of these things from a simple commercial, right? So when you have the very clear communication, when you have your market research and you understand who is your buyer persona, you can communicate very clear like Adidas is doing in this ad. So people will relate to your communication materials and to your online messages and to your class shouts, because if you're going to a person like Alex and you're going to say, hey, we are going to help you to go in a startup in an international company with a different mindset than in Romania, and you're going to learn how to be a very good IT professional and also make friends in that country, I think in just 20 seconds, you're going to get the interest of Alex to go in exchange, because you're talking on his language and you already understand who is Alex and why he wants to go in exchange, right? So that's how market research is helping you guys. But for understanding all of this, you have to do interviews and you have to do questionnaires and you have to meet people face to face and talk with them, because this information, it's very hard to take them out of a questionnaire. You have to dig deep when you're doing an interview, as you saw me doing with Alex. You have to ask questions and then go deep in the answer and try to get to the root of the cause. Try to find out, Alex doesn't have any fears, but he has concerns, and you have to find out those concerns. He doesn't have concerns, but he has challenges. You have to find those challenges. So when you're doing a questionnaire and an interview, you have to dig deep in the answers so you can find the information that will going to help you doing your marketing and improving your products and improving your communication. I have another two examples, but I will going to send you the links so we are not wasting any more time on these examples. And I want to show you some methods of research that can help you to find out more about your people, about your target markets. So first, you can do online questionnaires. You can do a Google form, you can use Typeform, you can use Podio, you can use other online questionnaires. It's not hard to create a questionnaire, and it's very simple to get simple answers. But if you want to go in a deep conversation and you want to find the real reasons behind the words, you have to do face-to-face interviews, because people usually are giving you, when you're doing a questionnaire, they are giving you the simplest answer that they are thinking. Maybe they don't understand exactly what you want to address with your question. Let's say you put in a questionnaire, what are your fears concerning going in exchange? And maybe they are thinking about their fears, I don't know, about getting robbed or etc. But you are thinking about fears concerning their job, not about their experience. And because you didn't say the job in your question and you only said what are your fears, that person will going to answer you in the questionnaire, my fears are that I won't get robbed. And that was not the answer that you were looking for. But if you're doing a face-to-face interview and you want to find out what are the fears of the person concerning their future job in exchange, then if that person will going to tell you, I'm afraid not to get robbed when going in exchange, you're going to say, no, I want to ask you about the fears concerning your future job, or this kind of things. In a face-to-face interview, it's much easier for you to relate to that person. And regarding how to build a questionnaire or also a face-to-face interview, there are some very simple rules. First rule is that you have to go from broader questions to more specific questions, right? Is like a pyramid with the top down. You're going from large questions to narrow questions. Like before asking them about what are their fears and concerns, that is a very specific question about exchange, you can ask them if they ever thought of going in another country. This is a very broad question. This is an open question. Then you can ask them, okay, have you thought of also about taking a volunteering experience in Romania or in another country? This is also a broad question. Then you can go deeper. Okay, have you thought of taking a volunteer experience in another country? This is a little more specific. Then, okay, what countries would you be interested to go in a volunteering experience? This is a little bit more narrow. Then, okay, if you're going in these countries, what will be your fears and concerns? Or how are you going to do the market research about opportunities to find volunteering experience in these countries? So you're going from general questions to very specific questions. And this is very easy for you to do because it will be much easier for the people that you're going to interview or that you're sending the questionnaires to get in the mood, to get them set up to answer your specific questions by just narrowing down from general questions to specific questions. So this is a general thing that you should do when building your face-to-face interviews or your online questionnaires. When you want to find out statistic informations, it's very important to have closed questions, to have questions with closed answers. Like, what are your main concerns about going in exchange, and you want to find out a statistic about this, then you're going to put choose from the following answers, and you're going to say, let's say, how to find accommodation, how to find friends, or how to talk with the company, and let them choose from these three answers. Then it will be much easier for you to do statistics about all the answers. But if you want to dig deep into the real reasons why people have fears and concerns and why they want to go in exchange, then closed questions like this won't help you. Please don't do closed questions when you want to find out the real reasons behind people's actions. If you want to find out the real reasons why people don't go in exchange, don't make them choose the reasons. Don't give them the reasons like A, B, C, D. Just put an open question. Why are you not thinking in going in exchange? And let them answer, because maybe you will be I don't know, you'll be surprised about the answers that you're going to get from the open questions. So when you're doing face-to-face interviews, please try to do more open questions when you want to leave the person to express their opinion about what you're asking, and let them experience what you're asking them, and let them tell you the experience that they've been through. And then when you find out the answers, try to repeat the answer to that person, so you make sure that you got the message clear. As I was doing with Alex, you saw my interview with Alex, and Alex told me, when I found out about volunteering opportunities, I was convinced by my project manager, right? And then I repeated to him. So as I understand, the project manager convinced you to go in exchange. Is that right? And Alex told me, yes, that's right. So I repeated the question, I repeated the answer just to make sure that I got the answer right. You can also do this in your face-to-face interviews, just not to have mistakes in the way you interpret things. What you can also do when you're doing face-to-face interviews, try to be two persons in that interview, to be not only one person, to be two, because maybe one person is thinking of one thing and the other person in the interview is thinking another thing. So you can also, both of you, try to clarify the answers as much as possible. And also, when someone is asking questions, as you know, in the recruitment process, it's better that another person is writing down the answers or is recording the answers. And then you can talk with your colleague that you are doing the interviews together. After you finish the interview, you can talk with your colleague to take out the conclusions out of your interview. So it's a teamwork. I recommend to do interviews with another colleague when you're inviting people, so you can have more opinions about the answers. You can do also online interviews. I recommend the online interviews if you have total support from the people that you want to do online interviews. Because if you're going to talk with strangers, strangers won't be open to talk freely with you in an online interview. Let's say I'm a guy and I want to ask a girl from economics university to tell me about if she's interested in online exchange, to go in an exchange. I'm sure that she won't be very open to talk with me. Maybe she said that I'm hitting on her or something, that I want to talk online with her, and I just want to get her contacts. But if you're going to say, hey, let's talk 10 minutes right now here in the hallway of the university about some things about exchange, maybe she will be more open to talk right there and right now than she will give me her contact details to talk online. So online interviews are much easier to do when that person already knows you and already trusts you, and that person is already open to talk with you. You can do online interviews, for example, with your ISEC members, to find out from them what was their experience with companies, or their experience in exchange, or their experience in volunteering experiences. So you can do online interviews with your colleagues in ISEC, because they will be very open to talk with you because they already know you, so you won't have any problems. But if you want to talk with strangers, with students from universities, or with different people from companies, it's better to have face-to-face interviews. You're going to build a trust with them, meeting them, and maybe you will close a deal after your interview. After you're going to talk about exchange, maybe only from your interview you're going to convince that person to take an exchange, or you'll convince that person to take an interview in their company. So you can also use these interviews to do ISEC branding. I remember when I was in ISEC Cluj, I'd done market research about awareness about ISEC in students' dorm, and I had to go from room to room in girls' dorms and in guys' dorms, and I was knocking on the door and asking them if they've heard about ISEC and what is their opinion about ISEC, etc. And by doing that, I was also promoting ISEC, not only find out about their opinions about ISEC, but also promoting ISEC with this occasion. And I was also telling them about exchange opportunities. And many people in their forms, in their feedback forms, when doing those questionnaires, they also said that they were interested in exchange. So you can use these questionnaires also for getting good contacts for sending people abroad, for example. Google Analytics, this I think Oscar has the power to take information out of Google Analytics. Oscar can look into Google Analytics to see what is the age of the person that is entering on your website, what are their interests, because Google Analytics has a section with interests, and he can go there and to see what are their interests. Oscar can find out how many people are coming from mobile devices and how many people are coming from desktop devices. So you can use this information to promote more your website or your opportunities on mobile than on desktop. Also, he can find out what are the search terms that people use when getting to your website, like ISEC or volunteering experience, etc., and use those search terms to write articles and to do communication materials. So Google Analytics is another tool, but it's like more measurable, more a tool of measure who are your website visitors. Google Trends you can use to find out how many people are searching for some ideas. Let's say how many people are searching for volunteering experience, and what are the periods when people are searching more or less volunteering experience. We can do also an example with Google Trends. I will show you in the following minutes. Also, Google Keyword Planner, this is similar to Google Trends, but is not showing you only the search trends, how many people are searching for something, but it also showing you what are the expressions that people use when doing searching. So Google Keyword Planner you can use only if you have a Google AdWords account, that it's an advertising account. And Oscar has access to this, and he can do the keyword research. Zealous Monitor, that's a program that you can use for searching ideas in online newspapers and online magazines. This is and also when people are writing about ISEC on social media, you can put in Zealous Monitor, you can put this keyword of ISEC and find out when people are talking about ISEC and where they are talking about ISEC and what news are appearing about ISEC each day. So you are doing to monitor your brand in online communities in Romania. I recommend you to work with Zealous Monitor to do this kind of analysis. I can give Oscar a direct contact to Zealous Monitor. Maybe they will give you for free to use this program. If you're giving something in exchange for them, I don't know.
Yes, no, we have a partnership with Dena. We have a free account, so we have access to that.
That's great. So this is a very good tool to use to monitor your keywords. Facebook page insights. These are the insights that you have from your Facebook page. That tells you how many people from what cities are following your Facebook posts, how many people are seeing your Facebook posts, what are the most popular Facebook posts that you're posting, and also those information can tell you about the people interests. Website screen recordings, you can use tools to record the screen like SmartSap or other tools. And this can help you to see exactly what people are doing on your website, on what they are clicking, where they are spending more time. And by knowing this, you can also find out indirectly what is their interest. Analysis on social media profiles of the customers, you can, let's say, find out that these are the people that are interacting with your Facebook posts. And these are the people that are interested with the volunteering experiences that you're posting on Facebook. You can click on their social media profiles and then go on their Facebook page, Facebook profiles if they're public, and find out what they are sharing, what are their interests, what videos they are looking, what articles they are sharing, etc. And by doing this social media profiling, you can use those information to build also your buyer persona and to find out what are the interests of the buyer persona that you're targeting, and start to promote more on those interests. Maybe you will find out that people that are following ISEC and that they are interested in exchange opportunities, maybe they are sharing more information about I don't know, global warming. Then maybe you should start promoting more opportunities about global warming, right? And you can find out this if you are entering their social media profiles and find out what they are sharing on their profiles. Or maybe just Google it, right? This is also a very good tool. Just Google it, write down volunteering experience, right? And find out what are the articles in the news about volunteering experience and what journalists are writing about volunteering experience, or what other people are talking on forums about volunteering experience. Or just Google about internships. And you can select from Google search to show you only the articles from the last 7 days or the last month or the last year, to find out what are the news about internships in the last year, and find out what people are talking about internships in the last year, and try to talk more about those topics on your social media page or in your communication materials or in your offers for the companies if you're finding some good information. I found out that the Romanian government wants to give some money to the companies that are taking interns just by reading the news. And if I knew that information, I will use that information to go to companies to close more deals with them. So just Google the information that you want to find out about what are the fears and concerns of the people that want to go abroad, or fears and concerns regarding the volunteering experiences, or why the people are motivated about going in exchange or in volunteering experience. Just Google it and look at the search results, because you're going to be amazed how many things you're going to find out. Just Google some stuff. So what I think are the main and most important things that you should do in your LCs, it's online questionnaires and face-to-face interviews. I think these are the most important things that you should do after this training. You should start doing this to build your buyer persona and to find out what are the segments that you want to address with each opportunity. Talk with your colleagues in ISEC. First, start from the people that already have been to exchange. Talk with them and find out their reasons, to find out who they are, what are their interests, and build buyer persona based on their profiles. Because if they already went in exchange, then that means that you have to start finding people similar to the ones that already bought from you, right? Similar to the ones that already have been to exchange, or already starting learning languages, or already been, I don't know, TN takers, or etc. Just start doing face-to-face interviews and questionnaires from the people that you already know. I'm going to give you a brief. This brief, it's about questions that you need to answer about buyer personas, and you have to fill in this brief. And after you fill in this brief, then you can put all of those information in buyer personas sheets. So here is how you can do Google Forms, Facebook Audience Insights. I won't enter to talk about details. Google Trends, I'll just show you very quick how you can use Google Trends. I'm going to enter trends.google.com. And let's say when there are most volunteering experiences, most searches about volunteering experiences. I'm going to search voluntariat and only in Romania. So we have voluntariat, and I will search not worldwide, but in Romania. Okay, so we have voluntariat in the past 12 months. Most searches, let's say the better months, are in October. So maybe this is when students come to university, they are searching for volunteering experience. Also, we can see here in March, there are people that are searching for volunteering in March and April. They are searching for volunteering experience. So maybe these are the best periods to start promoting recruitment or promoting international opportunities. And here you can choose also, let's say, past 5 years to see more clearer trends. So we can see here it's October. Again, I think here is still September and October. So we can see a pattern. Here is March, April, March. I think here is also April, March, right? So you can see in March and September, October, they are the best months to do volunteering, to promote volunteering. So you can use Google Trends just to find out what are the trends for the searches that you're interested in. Okay, Google Keyword Planner, this is very similar. You'll have the link here. And if you have a Google AdWords account, you can insert the keyword and then you can see what are the trends. You can see here machine noise, like new cars, and you can see here what are the ad group ideas that people are searching when referring to machine noise. And this is Zelis Monitor. You already have an account, so I think Oscar will give you insights from Zelis Monitor that if you need more insights about what people are talking about ISEC each month, Oscar can give you a report about that. The last thing that I want to show you before Q&A, it's the brief. It's the buyer persona brief that I you and that you can fill in with the information that you're going to get from the interviews. So here is the buyer persona brief. So here you have to fill in who is the initiator, who is the influencer, the decider, the buyer, who are the users. Then you have to do the buying scenarios. What is the buying process, right? And you have to answer here to the questions. Why does the initiator propose starting the process of the buying? Personal objectives, what is the context, what are the trigger points, what are the pain points? What does the initiator do first when she starts the buying process? Who is doing the research? What influencers appear along the way? So you have to fill in all these answers to these questions based on your interviews that you're doing with the people that you're going to talk with. So I will just send you this brief and you'll have to answer these questions. And after you answer the questions, then you'll have to summarize all the answers in these buying persona profiles. You're going to segment all the people based on common things. If you see that there are many people that are interested more in professional experience, then you should think of those people that they're in a segment of professional-oriented people and create a buyer persona for them. If you find out that there are a lot of people in companies that they are from HR that are taking internship opportunities in their company and they are the deciders who is coming in internship in their company, then create a buyer persona for these people. So after you're doing these interviews with all of the people from ISEC that they've been in exchange and with the students from your universities to find out if they heard about ISEC, what is their opinion about ISEC, if they're interested in your projects, what projects they know about ISEC, and then go in a deeper interview with them about exchange or what project is for your interest. Go in a deeper interview and then build this buyer persona. So I recommend you to do this. Then after you do the interviews, fill in the brief, and after you fill in the brief, start building these buyer personas. And after you have these buyer personas, please use them. It's not the work is not done after you build these buyer personas. After you build these buyer personas, use the information in the buyer persona in your communication plan, in your communication materials, on your website, on your social media, on all your channels that you have. Use this information to talk on your language of your buyer persona, because that's the way how you're going to convince them to do what you need to do, to come to your project, to sign up for exchange, to become a volunteer, to become an ISEC member. I don't know. Use the information that you have from buyer persona. So pretty much this was everything from my side about market research and about buyer personas and about doing the interviews. If you have any questions, please ask them now. We still have 20 minutes to talk about your questions and about your challenges. Have you done this kind of research about students and about the people that already been to exchange?
From what I know, I don't think we did something like this. We actually, like, how I think it worked until now is that we got a lot of subscribers from online and offline, like shouts in the university, and people interested would come there. But yeah, if we would apply this kind of process, it will work much better.
Yeah, okay. This process will going to help you to communicate better on social media. So I know that our agency helped you guys to do Facebook advertising, for example, for some of your LCs. And in some LCs, the Facebook ads worked very good, and in other LCs, they didn't have very good results. Maybe this happened because we didn't knew all of these informations that I presented to you. We didn't knew all of this information about your target market. But if you're doing this market research, then it will be much easier for you to know what kind of information to put in the ads and what kind of information to tell the people in the class shouts. Are you interested in doing this kind of research?
Yes, I think we will start doing both for people and for companies.
Okay, you should really put this as a priority, because you just have to do this like once per year. You don't have to do it each month. You're doing once per year, or maybe once at 2 or 3 years. But it's important to have the conclusions. If you have the conclusions, if you have the buyer personas, then that information can help you each year just pass on the buyer personas so people know who they are talking with. So it's important to do this at least once, and do as many interviews as you need to do until you find similar answers. Right now, I talked with Alex. Maybe then you're going to talk with Christina, then Andrei, and if the same answers come up with each person that you're talking with, then after you have 20, 100 interviews, then stop doing interviews, because you already have enough information. But try to cover like all the ranges of students that you're targeting. If you're targeting students from the first year, second year, third year, and master degrees, then maybe it's a very good idea to do a number of personal face-to-face interviews with people from each year of university and masters, because people are thinking different at each stage of their university. So maybe you'll find out different ideas from people from the first year than from people from master degrees. Maybe the people from master degrees have different goals and different pain points than students from the first year. So you have to ask a lot of different students that you're targeting. Don't ask only second year students that are in ISEC. That won't help you. You have to do questionnaires and interviews with all the people that you're targeting. If you're targeting first year, second year, third year, and masters, talk with people from each year and try to talk with girls and guys. Try to talk with and to find out if there are a lot of people interested in professional development or only in volunteering, and try to find patterns. This is very important. After you do the interviews, try to find patterns. Take conclusions at the end of your interview and you say, okay, this person is professional oriented. This person is more like volunteering oriented. This person is more like social oriented. And put these people in categories so you can target them better. So this is also one of my recommendations for you.
I do have another question.
Okay.
For example, we talk a lot about students, and it's easier to make this kind of research on students. But how about companies? Because, for example, as you said, we can interview our current partners. But what if in our current partners we have just BPO companies? How can we market research a different kind of company? Like maybe we don't have it now, but maybe it will work.
Okay. Well, if you have companies, then talk with the companies that you already have. If you don't have companies, then what I recommend is to start talking with the companies that you are thinking to go to approach in your sales process. The first thing before approaching them in a sales process, it's to find out what are their needs and expectations, etc. So you can approach them just for try to find out their interests about sponsorship or for internship opportunities, and don't do a sales pitch. Just call them and say, hey, I want to talk with Alina from HR about internships, but it's more like an interview, not we don't want to sell anything, right? So this can be your first step in getting a connection with companies. It's just like doing sales, but you're not doing sales, you're doing interviews. And I recommend to do this with the companies that you're targeting right now, because I'm sure that you know some companies that will be more suited for internships right now. Maybe like for startups, it's pretty sure you're targeting startups. So go and talk with startups from the biggest industries in your city. Take, for example, Cluj. There are a lot of startups in IT. Okay, so if you're targeting startups in IT, then go talk with 10 people from startups in IT and try to find out what are the goals in the buying process, who is the person that takes the decision, what are their goals, concerns, etc. So try to make a first contact with these companies just by telling them that you want to know more about their companies and their needs about developing their employees, and you want to know about their needs about growing their team, and you don't want to sell them anything, you just want to ask them some questions. So it'll be much easier to enter those companies with this approach than to tell them, hey, we want to tell you about, have you heard about ISEC and exchange opportunities? I think maybe they will be more open to the first method, telling them that you're doing a research. And I'm sure that after you have the research, you can go back to those companies and ask them, hey, now we know what you're interested in. Look, we have these opportunities for you. Are you interested to work with us?
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Other questions? What are your main concerns, to say like that, for doing a market research on students and companies?
I think for me, like how I'm thinking is not asking the right questions. So we don't get exactly to the root of the problem.
Okay. Asking the right questions is important, that you want to talk with, that you're doing the questionnaire, right? So just look in the brief, and then you're going to see their questions about fears, concerns, etc. And then it's easy for you. Okay, I have to find out what are their fears regarding taking an intern in their company. Okay, so then you just go and ask them. Okay, so what are your fears for taking an international intern in your company? What will be your main concerns or problems for someone to come in your company? And you're going to ask mainly almost the same question that you have in the brief. You're just building your questions based on everything that you need to fill in the brief and in your buyer persona. Would you have any other concerns regarding the market research? Oscar, please tell me, what do you think about market research and how market research will going to help the local LCs based on what we talked today?
Okay, so maybe something that sometimes is really hard on local level is like, I don't know, we wanted to promote an special campaign or promote Facebook ads. Maybe we don't have really the knowledge about how we can go in details or how is the market that we have in your city. It's like, for example, if we make like this market research and I discover that, I don't know, in my city I have modern languages that are focusing in French or something like that. In French knowledge in Italian, for example, if I found with this market research, I can see that this market is really open to go and exchange in GB to Italy because they can practice their languages there. And it's also with this marketing with this market research you can align that, and also for example how many faculty you have in your university, how many students you have for each of the market, and it's also how you can I don't know, somehow speak the market regarding the products. Because for example, if you have a faculty for psychology, you know that this faculty is going to be focusing to promote GV because it's the profile that match with them. Also, there's an inter of companies. If you see that, so you know that, I don't know, so you make a market research and you find that you have, I don't know, 20 startup in your city, or that you have something like Impact Hub in your city, you know that you can approach there and they're going to, maybe you are going to have the possibility to make some IG projects there. But it's like how you can have like a better overview about what is happening in your city and how you can connect, how you can potentialize this with ISA. Because also, I don't know, also here you can find other institutions or other voluntary work that also could be really open to live work products. Because like I think that sometimes we wanted to promote this for all the people. We know that it is for all the people, but maybe here we can go with a more specific target. We can offer for a specific group of people how our projects are going to fit with them with their needs. For that reason, that for me it's nice to have this type of market research.
Okay, so you're talking about knowing the market before knowing the general market, like how many people are in each university and what they are studying. All of those information you can just find out just by going to the university and talk with the secretary and find out statistics information about each faculty. So if you're thinking that those will be very important for you to understand that there are more economic students in Cluj than there at sociology or business university, then you can just go to secretary and just find these statistics or talk with the marketing department from UBB, for example, in Cluj, and they will give you these statistics. Maybe I think those information also you can find on their website. You can look on their website how many people applied for getting into a specialty, right? How many open positions they have for each specialty, and you'll find out how many people, how many students are already in that specialty. So this information you can find out without doing a market research like questionnaires or interviews. Those information, you just have to look them up on the website of the universities, and you already find them out. And of course, those information can help you to know where to go to promote, because if you have more students at economics, then you have students at Italian language faculty, then of course you should focus more on the economic students because they are more and you have more people to choose from. But if you find out that the Italian people, if the Italian students are more open to go abroad than the economic students, maybe you should start targeting more the Italian students. But you only can find out about that after you're going to talk with those students.
Yes, and also something regarding customer interviews is that, I don't know, we realize that, for example, for some case in some cities, it's really hard to get people, I don't know, from online to go on exchange because they don't, I don't know, they are afraid because they don't know if other people is the same experience. It's also how do you do, how you did with Alexander is like how you can find what are the reason why the people wanted to go or doesn't wanted to go on exchange. It's like also how you can start to find the way to attract from, I don't know, from that side, because for example in some cities the main complaint is that the parents are not sure. Maybe, I don't know, in that specific city you should do something focus on of the parents to give to them more
Yes,
credibility about the
of
ASEC
course.
products. And
Of
it's like
course, if
also
you
if you make this type of customer interview, you can get this type of inputs.
exactly. So that's why I recommend to do these kind of interviews. If you don't have, let's say you are a small LC, right, and you don't have many people that already been to exchange, and you already talk with all of them, and you did buy a persona based on that experience, then you should start approaching foreigners. You can start approaching strangers. You have to go in your university and talk with the students. It's not an easy way. You just have to go there and talk with them even if you don't know them. Believe me that students are open to talk with anybody. You don't have to be afraid to ask people for an interview. Of course, you're going to take a lot of rejections. A lot of people are going to say, hey, I don't have time right now. I don't want to talk with you, etc. But that's part of the job. When you're doing interviews and when you're doing questionnaires, a lot of people are going to say, no, I don't want to talk with you. But you have to put a target and you say, I want 100 students to talk in Brașov or in Pitești. And you go to university and talk with 1,000 students, that 100 students eventually will going to take an interview with you, and then you're going to have your results. There is no easy way to do this. You just have to go and talk with the people. And after you're going to do that, you're going to have very nice insights. If you're finding out that the parents are the deciders and the parents are saying if a student can go or not go in an exchange, maybe it's a good idea, as Oscar said, to create an event for parents or send letters to parents, or create a newspaper, a physical newspaper that students can give to their parents about exchange. I don't know. After you find out all the information in the buyer persona, in the profile, it will be much easier for you to create all your marketing actions, all your marketing plan, because you'll understand the buying process and you'll understand the mindset of the students. And I'm pretty sure that in each city, it's a different mindset. Maybe in Cluj, it's more similar with Bucharest, but also in Cluj is different from Bucharest, because a lot of students that are coming from Cluj are coming from from other cities, and maybe they are more open to move from one place to another. In Bucharest, many students are from Bucharest, and they don't have to move from one place to another, and maybe they are not that open as Cluj students to go abroad. I don't know. Each city has a specific kind of students, so I think all DLCs have to do their own market research. You can't say that you have to promote in Yash the same way you promote in Cluj, because I'm sure the students in Yash are thinking different than the students in Cluj. So I think all DLCs have to do their own market research and their own interviews and put all of the conclusions and buyer persona in a folder. And you can create a task force for 1 month. All DLCs has to do this market research and build their buyer personas. So you can use all of those informations in doing advertising and doing promotion. As you saw in the Google Trends, volunteering experience comes from March. So you have 1 month, this month, February, you have 1 month to do your market research and to know very well what people are looking for in volunteering experience or going in exchange or in internships. Because in March, probably you're going to start doing online advertising and invest money in marketing campaigns and marketing materials and events, etc. And at that event and on those marketing materials, you really have to know your customer and to understand how to talk with him or her, so you can convince them to go in exchange or to take interns. So I believe that this month could be a good period for you to do face-to-face interviews or questionnaires for companies, but also for students. If you have any other questions. Or Oscar, if you have any other conclusions that you want to say, because we are almost over, so some few words, last few words.
Yes, no, for me, I think that is really new information for all the people that was watching that. But it's like also how we're going to study to implement all this type of thing, because sometimes I don't know, we are making strategies or we're creating this, but we don't have something like, how do you say, like a base or something from where it started to create that thing. I think that making this type of analysis, customer interviews is going to give to all of us like be more aware about the market and the things that we could do. Because I don't know, maybe right now we are promoting or producing a different way that is not attractive for our local market. And it's like how I can see here the difference is like how we are going to start to use all this analysis of this information that we find from this to start to implement and create the strategies. It's like the main input that I can take from this space. And it's like, I don't know, I sometimes and I don't think that it's really hard to make that thing, because I don't know, how do? You can call one EP, or you can, I don't know, drink a coffee with a GP that was before, or go to have a meeting with a previous NGO to ask this question. And from this, started to build the thing that you can improve to have more people, and also how you can use this recommendation that the EPs or the companies or the NGOs are giving to you to also share this with to attract more people, and how also this person could be promoted to also to attract other people, because it's like something that maybe we are not using right now. So I think that, I don't know, starting from this, we can have a better clarity about what we can do. It's like, I don't know, it's like the main conclusion that I can take for this space.
Okay, that's great. So thank you guys for being in this training, and looking forward, if you have any other questions, please send them to Oscar, and Oscar will going to give them to me, and I will try to help you out as much as possible. And I hope you're going to do the interviews and build the buyer personas, so you can build your marketing actions and your marketing plans on facts, on pure information that you have from your local market, because each market is different and you have to talk on your language of your consumer. So guys, thank you for being here with me, and if you have any other questions, please send them to Oscar or send them to me, and I will try to help you out as much as possible. So good luck and keep in touch.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kalina and Alexandro Andrei, for doing all the training. And yes, I will give you more information. It is that we are going to have this type of space each month. So after check the MC page of the MC Romania, we're going to give you more information about how will be the topics for the next month, because it is that we wanted to continue with this type of space to give to all the network more information about marketing and how we can improve all our process and strategies. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, Colleen, and thank you to all of you to attend this training, and have a good night to all of you. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Julia,